Now, live and in studio on your hometown station, AM 1220 KHTS, your real estate and financial experts, making sure you win in every market. Your financial partners, Don and Gino.
Thank you again for joining us on the Don and Gino Real Estate and Finance Show. Don Gatling here with Mr. Gino Fronti, now for almost 3 years. Gino, next week is our 3-year anniversary. How about that?
Super exciting. What are we going to do?
I don't know. We got to come up with something fun.
Well, we always do something fun. We help guide you to personal and financial wellness.
Oh, jeez.
Hey, if it wasn't fun, we wouldn't have been doing it for 3 years.
That's right.
We would have ditched it if it wasn't fun.
This is the most fun 2 hours of our week, without a doubt. And it's even more fun because we have Lou Esbin with Esbin Law with us. Thank you again for joining us,
Hey,
sir.
guys. Thank you. Always a pleasure.
Always
a lot of fun.
And this show is always live. We always try to bring it as up-to-date as possible, and live is about as up-to-date as possible as you can get. Therefore, you get bloopers. Yes, it's a guarantee. But please check us out at donandgino.com, DonandGino.com, donandgino.com. Click on the Listen and Chat Live, and voila, you enter the vault, because that's the only way you're getting in the vault. That's right. It's locked out there.
The door is closed.
That's right. So please check us out, and you'll get to see us in our beautiful purple shirts, and Mr. Lou Esbin making our studio look more dapper than ever.
Yeah.
All right, so I was teeing up a little bit about the Motor City, the story of the Motor City, which is, just a remarkable story for America, of course, being the birthplace of the automobile industry. And in 1950, Detroit was the 5th largest city in the U.S. at 1.85 million people. And this is back in 1950. 1.85 million people. What happened, Lou?
What happened? Well, in the 1950s, the United States was the only industrial country in the world because the rest of the world was in ruins after World War II.
Good point.
And we basically maintained that position through the 50s and early 60s until we rebuilt the rest of the world.
We did, didn't we?
And we moved our manufacturing offshore.
Right.
And so I don't think Detroit has been the heartbeat of America, as Chevrolet would like to say, as far as manufacturing goes, for probably a couple 3 decades now.
That's a good point. So therefore, this industrious city that was the go-to place for jobs, basically, has decreased dramatically over the years. And we're talking, we went from 1.85 million people living in Detroit all the way down to half that in 2000 to 950,000. And again, it's decreased down to 710,000 just as recent as 2010.
You know what's scary
pretty dramatic
about that?
Decrease.
Well,
it is, but it's also scary, the trend. I mean, they haven't hit, they may have not hit rock bottom just yet.
No, and the problem is that when Detroit had that many people, it expanded its sphere of influence and its borders, and so now they're having to send police and fire to far reaches of the city where it's not very highly populated. They're really talking about Detroit shrinking down as far as the city goes and returning things to unincorporated county like we on the other side of the freeway here in Santa Cruz, Stevenson Ranch. That's unincorporated LA County. Okay. So it's it's an interesting dynamic. That city has to shrink down so that it can continue to provide services to whoever's left living there.
And if you recognize his voice, that's Mr. Lou Esbin with Esbin Law, one of our top financial attorneys here, and BK specialist, and also a member of the America's Professional Resource Group. And always love having you here, Lou.
Well, thanks, guys. I appreciate it.
Well, it was interesting, Lou. I thought I'd bring that up because I thought it was an interesting story. People you might not have known about this dramatic shift in such a important city as the Motor City in Detroit. The good news is believe it or not, every city at some point, obviously they got hit one of the hardest regarding values. We're talking Las Vegas, Florida, California, Detroit. Detroit just got hammered.
And Detroit filed bankruptcy.
Yes, well, that was it. One of the largest city ever, I believe, to file bankruptcy back in 2013.
Yeah, correct.
So that's a big deal. The good news is believe it or not, now Detroit has the 3rd highest appreciation year over year. I guess when you're at the very bottom, it doesn't take much.
Well, that's true. And you know me, Don, I'm always going to look at the other side of the coin. Are we talking about Detroit with a smaller city limits?
Right.
So you're not talking apples to apples. You're talking apples to oranges. Was it at 0 and now it's at 1, so that's 100%. There's so many factors that come into play. Percentages, statistics.
Yeah, you love those.
As my statistics professor said.
Yeah, his eyes are lighting up right now. Just so you know.
Statistics are a stupid thing. But you're right. It's a baseline, and so if the city has shrunk in size and values have gone up, maybe property values have gone up, so maybe there's property taxes available to service the people of a smaller size Detroit.
Mm-hmm.
That's all good things.
Right.
But ultimately, whenever a city, any city, it doesn't matter, whenever it goes through something like this, catastrophic, there's opportunity for investment.
Sure.
Every single time.
Absolutely.
I mean, California, areas like
New Orleans.
Stockton
New
or
Orleans.
yeah, or areas that New Orleans. What a great
Oh, yeah,
example!
I
What
was
an amazing example. In fact, the government stepped in. There was subsidies to buy homes in New Orleans after the floods.
Oh, don't tell Joe Messina that.
Yeah, he'll go crazy on us. But there was tax subsidies to purchase homes. It was called the Go Zone or something.
Oh yeah,
like
yeah.
that. Remember?
Well, there's a few of them.
Well,
Yeah.
I'll tell you something. I was in New Orleans after the hurricane. I was going to say the earthquake, and you could see cars stacked up against houses, houses against houses. I mean, people don't realize how New Orleans was such a disaster. And they had a dramatic drop in population as well. A lot of people went to Texas and Houston and whatnot.
Yeah, that's true.
And so, New Orleans is a city that's really roared back. And people say it's roared back a lot on the back of Los Angeles because so much production went to New Orleans.
And they did. I know.
A lot of
And my
filming.
contractor left in the middle of my project on my house. Literally, sorry, I'm out. I'm like, but you're not done. He goes, yeah, I got way too much work waiting for me in New Orleans.
right?
See ya.
Yeah.
And
Wow.
I'm like, oh, dude, you got to finish. No, I don't. See ya.
So
He just left.
So I think the story of Detroit and New Orleans probably has been repeated repeatedly in this country, and I think we'll see it again. And you're right. There are opportunities that anybody can make out of that. Look at Vegas. I mean, Vegas literally crumbled,
Yeah, now
Yeah.
it's booming.
and it's booming now.
Yeah. The other one to still look at is Florida, and because they had overbuilt their condos, and it was absolutely devastated because they overbuilt the condos. Also because they're a judicial foreclosure state, so it still has the highest foreclosure percentages in the nation because it takes so long to foreclose on people. So there's still a real estate investment to be had in Florida as well.
But Florida had its own hurricane. Florida had 3 consecutive hurricane seasons with Category 3, 4, 5 hurricanes that were just whipping back and forth across the Florida Peninsula, and those condos got racked, and the cost of wind and flood insurance in Florida went through the roof, and people just couldn't afford the insurance, and they couldn't afford the insurance to buy, and that was really a catalyst for the Florida housing market to collapse. I've got friends who are bankruptcy lawyers in South Florida, and they will tell you that the mortgage meltdown started in South Florida.
Wow.
I agree. I'd have to agree with you on that.
Started in South Florida.
I
And
have
so
to agree with that.
You have to be always concerned about the trigger, and if that was the trigger to our housing meltdown, that was part of it. Look, gas prices went through the roof.
Yeah, that was a simultaneous thing. I remember gas prices were astronomical.
Yeah.
Of course, we consider that normal now.
Yeah.
Well, you got to talk about that because there's going to be a lot of talk right now. Gina and I have brought this up many a times, forewarning you because we watch numbers like you, Lou.
Yeah,
You can appreciate this. We watch the numbers so we can actually see trends, not just a weekly number or a monthly number. Therefore, is that not a trend? A trend is what you're seeing happen over time, and we pay attention to the numbers and how relevant those numbers are to now, because a lot of the numbers you get could be 1, 2, 3 months old. So we watch trends, and I know you're going to hear a lot of rebuff about how we're heading into another housing bubble because the markets have slowed down, or the appreciation levels have slowed down. Well, we have warned you over and over and over that they had to slow down because we cannot maintain nationally over 12% appreciation levels, which is extreme. We're talking double-digit appreciation. And in California, we've been seeing between 20 and 25% appreciation. We cannot maintain those. So if you, gosh, I wish we could replay. We're just not good at that. We could replay back for the last 2 months now. We have been warning you that appreciation levels will lower back down to normal standard appreciation level. We'll still have appreciation, but it will be between 4 and 6%. The CEO of Zillow, very big company that deals with real estate, just backed us up and said, hey, by the way, appreciation levels in 2014 will be 6%.
Yeah, they've got to stay in between 4 and 6%. That's
That's
your
historical trend line.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, not only that, but it was the historical interest rate. Historically, before the Volcker era during Carter, interest rates were 4 to 6%. So I think we go back to 4 to 6% appreciation. We're going to go back to 4 to 6% interest rate. That's where we are. That's where
okay, we're going to talk about the adjustments in the real estate market today. And then we're going to talk again about corporation startups, what to do, what not to do. And the importance of mediation. There's a lot of value in that versus just running to the law. We will be right back on the Don and Gino Real Estate and Finance Show. Don't go away.